Welcome to VidMark, a podcast to give you the video marketing knowledge to always hit the mark. Let us help build your confidence with video strategy and content creation best practices. Join us weekly for pro tips and guest interviews as we explore the powerful communication tool of video. It's time to boost your business. Let's talk video. All right, Jeany, thank you so much for joining me on the Media Marketing Podcast. Jeany is the owner of TreeSwing Video,
Yep.
a boutique videography agency specializing in brand videos, testimonial videos, recruiting videos, and training videos for small to medium-sized businesses. Also now providing video conferencing coaching to help individuals and teams come across more professionally during their video calls. Jeany.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. How's life? How is what's the video world looking like?
Well, let's see, life is it's good overall. But ups and downs, like I think a lot of people, a lot of business owners, I've heard it be called the Corona coaster, where, some days I'm on top of the world, things are going great. Others I'm like, what is actually going on here? And I feel like just when we're getting used to a certain phase, then, collectively we've been hit with something else. And particularly here in Oregon, we've been hit with the wildfires recently. And, we evacuated even though our house is fine. But, it's been quite the year, right?
Yeah, I know that. I can only imagine. So you just guys had to grab everything and go move somewhere else, and like camera gear was okay. You guys were able to
Yeah. So it's funny when you have a videography business, it's like, what are the first things you're thinking of grabbing? And like the video equipment was right up there. So it was one of those, those scenarios when you think, well, what would I do if I had to evacuate? What would I grab? So we literally went through that exercise, and it really came down to, apart from your documents, you need your some certain papers like wills and leases and things like that. It's all the stuff that can't be replaced. So even though the video equipment, is important so we can keep working and it's expensive and everything. But a lot of it was sentimental stuff, photos that we haven't scanned yet. And, just heirloom things we've inherited, things of our daughter who's out in college. And so it was really that scenario where we did all that, and then we left to the coast to escape the air. It was terrible. The air quality here in the Portland area was awful. So we're very, we're extremely fortunate in that everything, everything's intact, and for so many people in Oregon and California and Washington, that's not the case. So can't complain too much.
Yeah, absolutely devastating. And I know, whole neighborhoods and how long is it going to take for the forest to regrow, all that stuff. So
yeah.
How much time did you guys have? Was it pretty short notice and you guys just had to throw everything together? And
yeah, good question. Actually, no, it was a little bit staggered. So, we hit level 1 evacuation, which means just kind of monitor the situation. There was it's the Riverside fire. It was kind of, fairly close to us. And then level 2 means, you might want to pack up and just be ready to go. And so once we hit level 1, we started the packing process. So level 2 was just a couple days later. And that's when we packed everything up. So we actually have 3 cars because we had my daughter's car too. So we packed up all 3 cars. We never went to level 3, but, the sky was orange, like the smoke was in our house. I was seeing reports on Facebook. I had a friend who just went to level 3 in her area. Level 3 means go now, like right now, drop everything, go. And just as they were packing up their car, her house caught on fire. Wow. So we just weren't going to take any chances. And we were lucky we had a place that we could go. We stayed with a friend. But yeah, so that it was a good exercise from that standpoint. And had we just had to go at a moment's notice, like some areas were just level 3, there's a fire, go now. We probably would have had, those papers, a few like photos, maybe some of the camera gear, clothes on our back, and that's it.
Wow. Yeah. It's just, it makes you realize prioritize. And that's that's a pretty wild story about your friend who just barely, thank goodness she was able to get
Yeah.
out of there just in time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's,
they're okay. I mean, their house is, there's a whole wall that burned down. The firefighters were there pretty quickly and were able to put it out. And I think they're going to be okay. Like, I think their insurance, they had enough coverage, and um, so they're going to be okay. It's traumatic, but
mm-hmm,
for so many people, they, don't have insurance.
yeah.
They lost everything. So those are the people, of course, we're all really concerned about.
Yeah, and those are kind of the stories to shed light on. I think of like from our perspective as video
Mhm.
producers, like yeah, those like highlighting those stories and making sure those people are being recognized. I know, yeah, I can only for me, I want my own kind of personal safety went first above like going out and trying to film stuff, because I know me, like
Yeah,
I'm gonna do what it takes to like get that shot. So I would
yeah.
probably sacrifice a little bit of my lungs and whatnot to breathing in like some of that
Well,
bad.
you're young. You're younger than I am. You can
I just
afford
have
to,
more years to
probably.
deal with it. Yeah.
That's true.
But oh man, yeah.
No,
Did
yeah, safety
did you guys
first for
get a lot
sure.
of? I think I saw you guys took a couple photos and things like that, right? Of kind of the orange haze and just like
Oh
different
yeah.
lighting. Like it's as a videographer, I'm looking out. I'm like, oh man, this is like really unique lighting. You don't get this too often.
Well,
Um,
it's crazy because you never quite know when you're seeing photos, especially on social media, like what has been, photoshopped, color processed, filtered, whatever. But it was, I mean, you always have to put hashtag no filter because, I mean, the photos were completely surreal that everybody
mhm.
took all the footage. I mean, the sky was like orange or red or brown, or, I saw this brilliant post on Facebook where somebody pointed at the orange, the sun was like completely orange and said, "Hey, we're on Tatooine," Star
Yeah.
Trek reference. And it was just, it really just, this whole year has been so surreal, but it felt like by turns, like a disaster movie. I mean, if you think
Yeah,
about this year,
apocalyptic. Yeah, it
yeah,
was surreal.
post-apocalyptic, like every month has been a different genre, if you think about it. I mean, there's been the social unrest, political drama. There's been the global pandemic genre. There's, been now the disaster genre. And now I don't know what we're in with recent events, but it's a whole different, maybe absurdist.
I know. I wonder. 2020, I think, is going to stick in the minds of all of us that have experienced it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll make. I mean, it will make history books, and so yeah, we'll be telling the next generations, the generations after that, like, hey, in 2020, how,
Yeah, I
where
picture
were you?
telling
What
my
happened?
my grandkids about it, and I think they'll be like, "Shut up already!" Like, everyone talks about this year, and we don't believe you. By the way, there's no way, you all are just exaggerating, because there's no way that all that happened in one year. Like, if you were to pick up a book and read the description, like if you're at the airport and you're like, I need something to read, and if the description was everything that's happened so far, you'd put it down because you think this is totally stretching the bounds of,
Just fiction.
belief.
Yeah.
There's no way, like, this is, no editor would sign off on that, and yet that's the reality that we've all been living with.
I know. Yeah, I think the Mayans were just like 7 years off. They said 2013. I think they meant 2020. So.
Yeah, it does feel like the end of the world sometimes. Yet, I mean, most of us, thank goodness, are still here. And of course, we have lost a lot of people this year. And it's just, I mean, it's mind numbing at a certain point. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just find myself numbing out a little bit because it's like, it's just too much to absorb.
A big thank you to our sponsors over at songtub.com. That's right, song or music and a tub, like a bath, but more fun to say. Tub. Anyway, you can check out Songtub's website for any of your music needs. In fact, the song playing in the background right now is from Songtub. So why pick them over anyone else? Well, they curate the music. And I know the guys, so that means I know that they're selecting great music for your project. A lot of other companies will brag about how many songs they have, maybe 100,000, 200,000, maybe even 1 million. But honestly, I don't have time for that. I don't have the time to just sit down and go next, a song not so great, trying to figure out where the best music is. Songtub.com, great place to get your music. And now I'm excited to offer you the first month for free if you go to songtub.com/pro, P-R-O, and we have a promo code for you. Yes, that's right, my name, your host, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, and that will give you your first month free to have access to a huge music library that you can use towards your next video project, podcast, or any of your general audio needs. Anyway, back to the show. Yeah, or just kind of taking more time to myself or prioritizing what are the most valuable things to me, and maybe limiting my social media time because I know that like you can kind of get charged, get emotional. So
exactly.
But yeah, anyway, like with TreeSwing Video, how are things looking for the fall? You guys
it's been really interesting. I mean, when the COVID, really hit in a big way and everybody was ordered to shelter in place, I mean, our business was just shut down. I mean, I'm sure it was the same boat for you and like so many other industries as well. So I definitely had a moment of panic because, I mean, you just can't do your work. So, and I kind of thought this is going to go on for a while, and then it became more and more evident. So thankfully, work has picked up again, and, we have had video projects trickling in. However, we're also looking at how to build out a virtual online component of our business that can be done, like evergreen, like all the time. So I want to talk about this course that I'm building as well. But, it's interesting because I was actually reflecting this morning, and even though our numbers are down this year, really, like compared to last year, we're only really down like one quarter. Like it's as if Q2 just didn't happen, and that's actually pretty remarkable. I mean, considering so many businesses have completely shut down or their numbers are just like, 10%, 20% of what they had last year. But what's interesting is not all of that has been from videography projects. Like some of it has been editing, some of it has been, coaching people on like virtual conferencing. And so it's just interesting how already I feel like the market is kind of giving me information that things are changing. And I don't know about you, but I feel like, that people are slashing their prices. So I feel like I've been writing a lot of proposals for videos, but whereas before I'd have a pretty good, close rate, but now I'm noticing those people are just walking away. And my guess is people are just lowering their prices because they just are hungry, super hungry for any business. So that's an interesting question, because then if I match that and slash my prices, then how do I next year, if there's a vaccine and people are like back making a ton of videos, how do you justify, okay, and now we're back to 50 to 75% more of what it was last year? Like you can't really, justify that to those clients. So it's like an interesting inflection point.
Totally. Yeah, it makes me, for the first part of what you said, like, I'm thankful to be like in the digital space because we can do some of the stuff like video editing. You don't need to be in the same room with them. Well, sometimes if someone wants to like Zoom and see what you're working on, but and then if people are lowering the prices as a whole for the industry, then it's kind of devaluing the work a little bit, which people, because you miss a quarter, you kind of almost need to like play catch up with that. So then you have to raise the prices to get back to where you could have been. But
well, I think what we're going to see is like, I think a lot of people who are doing that kind of desperate, like, I'll do any video for whatever price. I think we're going to see a lot of people actually have to close their doors because that's not a sustainable model. And as well as I do that there's a lot that goes into the videography. And if you're just inundated with all these smaller projects and you're just, buried with the editing, which takes so much time, you're going to be too burnt out to, sustain a business. So I think we're going to see a lot of those people kind of go away. And then, so with the remaining videographers, it'll be interesting to see who sticks around, who pivots away entirely, and like what that market price is what's going to happen with that.
I know overall, but then you're also at the point where because people are more at home, they maybe they see more videos, and I know that people want, like, they enjoy getting their information via video.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, so video is
powerful
not going
medium.
away at all. I mean, if there's anything that this year's taught me, that's if anything, it's more crucial now because we're not able to be together physically. I mean, look at how many people are on Zoom. We're on Zoom. This is a video format, and then just like we're gonna do, we're gonna record this, and that's what a lot of people are doing is like recording their online meetings or doing videos, and that's fine. I mean, I've done that. You've done that. Um, we'll probably see a little less of that going forward is because we're all getting a little Zoom fatigued. But
Exactly. Well, I think people probably try to treat it like you would a normal meeting, but there's, like, a normal meeting, there's the prep time that goes into it, and then, like, kind of the post. So I think
yeah,
if you're going back to back to back, it's really tough. And especially, I feel like when you're sitting down in person, maybe there's less pressure. You can look at other things in the room, whereas in a Zoom call, it's like, this is the one spot to look. And then
yeah,
and you're also battling your own mental, like, hey, this is where I normally spend all my time doing my work. And now,
hmm
like, I have to not be on email or something, or be doing something else, be distracted, and still keep my focus, which I think is the challenge.
yeah. Me too. And I think that the energy is different too. I mean, I'm looking at you, but I'm also kind of looking at the camera and talking to the camera. But like, I think we get energy from people, even if you're an introvert like I am. But there's something about physical bodies and how we're like reading body language and this is just so much focus on the face. And I feel like myself sometimes, like, this is the actor in me kind of like realizing, oh, I'm feeling this like neck tension and shoulder tension is because I feel like I'm so on from like the waist up. Whereas you're not usually like that if you're sitting in a Starbucks having coffee or in someone's office.
Yeah, you're on. Yeah, that's a good
You know what I
point. I
mean?
didn't even think about it as an actor. Like, yeah, it kind of feels like you're on stage, like you're here, presenting. But
Yeah. Well, you're very focused on like, being camera ready. I mean, you have to in a professional setting. So, and what about you, Brian? What have you noticed? What are you noticing in your business, like trends with marketing, with videography?
yeah, things definitely have slowed down. I try to take it, like, with a grain of salt, since this is like my first kind of real year. Like, I started in August of 2019, and now things started to I was things were ramping up in the fall. I was really excited, and then COVID happened, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to
Yeah.
reanalyze, and then had to shift, which there's shift to doing more online stuff, similar, taking on more editing gigs,
Yep.
maybe doing some projects that are more like, website or logo design, like things that are like kind of on the periphery of my skill set, but not my
Yeah.
main, which is video. So yeah, just kind of having to adjust and adapt, and uh, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I took a hit overall, but I think being realistic about where I'm at, and like still trying to see the wins or the successes in all of that work is a good mindset, because it's easy to kind of beat yourself
Yeah.
up as a one person operation, like myself. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it is kind of tough timing since you're just, launching the business off the ground. However, you're right, like a silver lining for you might be that you're figuring out now what I kind of wish I had done before, which is to have the physical videography and make sure you have some kind of strong online presence to be able to be flexible like that so that you're having, um, more than one stream of revenue. So it might be a good thing in a way that you can build, you're seeing kind of the economy, not at a great point and having to be nimble with things that are being thrown at you. So you can build with that intention of, like covering a lot of bases.
exactly. Yeah. So this has been good eye-opening thing that's happened to me. And so, yeah, and like you mentioned, having that digital presence, or building out those, because a lot of my whole plan was like, go to all the physical networking events in the area
Right.
and get to
Which
meet
I was doing
people.
too. Yep.
Yeah, and you get to meet people, and pass out some cards, maybe get coffee. And now that, has
Yeah.
completely disappeared. Even getting coffee, like I've done a few virtual coffees, which are fun,
Yeah.
but it's
It's
just
different
different.
though. And I found that virtual networking, even though you can, your presence is there so people don't forget about you, but I just find it's really not the same, because if you think about it, like when you're networking in person, a lot of the actual connections and relationship building and sales happens before or after the meeting. But when you're just like on at noon, done at 1 o'clock, most people, they're just dying to get off, right? So I think that I've been hearing too that a lot of the like the sales and relationships aren't really happening as much, unless, I mean, you're being really strategic and chatting people up and during the call and saying, hey, let's do a one-on-one. But I mean, I found it to be challenging, to be honest.
Yeah. And I want to just make sure we preface for the listeners, like we're not disliking the whole video aspect. It's just more of the communication via video. Whereas I think for a lot of the work that we do, it's capturing something and then splicing it up and creating a mood or a feel or a story that captivates people, which is
Oh yeah.
so this is like the medium for capturing it, but then like the real magic is in the editing room and piecing together a strategic piece of content that's going to help a business.
Exactly. Yeah. Because when you're out there in the social media world, I mean, you have such a short amount of time to get people's attention. I mean, certain formats are, like 5 seconds. Like you can have like a 5 second spot. And so what are you going to put in that 5 seconds or 30 seconds or minute? And that's where it's storytelling, because we're trying to craft a hook, a beginning, middle, and end with a goal in mind, which is, video for video's sake is fine. But, if you're going to make the investment, if you're going to, whether it's time, money, energy, you want to achieve that goal of getting the email, to add to your list, or scheduling a call, having somebody schedule a call with you, or purchase something. So that's where what we do comes in handy.
Working with a professional that has that end goal in mind, because I think video is so much. I mean, it's not nearly as what it was 3 or 4 years ago, where it's like the shiny new toy, flashy thing. Like, hey, we got to get video, but then they're like, oh, we just made this video, but we're not getting the results we wanted. Well, if you didn't identify the results that you wanted at the beginning, then like, how can there
Right.
be a disconnect?
Exactly. A lot of people think they need a video because their competitor has one, or because they just, they see a lot of videos when they go to websites. So they think, oh, well, we need a brand video. And that may very well be true. And yet they're not really being really intentional about, like, what are we trying to achieve? And often the video can achieve, as you know, more than one thing. I mean, it can, create brand awareness. It can create leads if you put it on social. It can convert leads once they're on your website. It can be part of, I don't know, education for, or awareness for, like, a nonprofit. And videos can be used, like, to train your people, train your workforce, train your customers who, maybe you don't have as many, your business, you don't have as many texts going out, you do a lot of service calls. Maybe you get the same calls over and over again, and you can train your customers to say, just direct them, go to the website. There's a video here. They'll help you, with unjam your photocopier, or turn off your alarm, or, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
there's lots of uses.
You can learn so much. They're a powerful education tool, and especially you can read a how to do step 1, 2, or 3, or you can watch a video, which is like someone talking to you, which feels like, okay, I already feel like they're going through this journey, this process with me. And then 2, you're able to have the visual elements that
Right. But nobody
someone.
wants to read anymore. I mean, the statistics are showing people don't want to read like long manuals or PDFs. They just, I mean, think about it. If you want to know how to do something, where do you go? You go to YouTube, right? Everybody's like, you just go to YouTube and type in how to,
Yeah,
because you
YouTube
just want to
this,
watch
that's
the,
like the term, or so.
yeah, exactly.
What I
Exactly.
find is kind of fascinating is like you're able to form digital relationships or credibility. I know if I, like, for example, you guys are creating this course. I would imagine that a lot of people, after they watch your course, are going to feel like they know. I don't know if you're going to be mainly the person on camera
Yes, it's
or
me.
someone else from your team, but I would imagine people are going to walk away like, I feel like I know Jeany, and like, because that's how I feel. If I edit a piece, and I've never met for example, my fiance, she works in the wedding film industry, and she'll edit a wedding film, and she'll feel like she knows the customers, even though she's never met them, because, there's just something about video, the audio and the visuals that makes you feel like you can really connect with the person.
Yeah, that's the magic of video for sure. It's that know, like, trust factor, right? So people have to know you, like you, and trust you before they're going to buy from you. But for anything with video, absolutely. I think it's that it's that thing of projection, so even though it's two-dimensional, and even though you're just like watching pixels, we're able to, as humans, to project and imagine that we're there with them. And that's why I tell clients, look, if you need to talk to a lot of people, and if you can go there in person, and fly and travel and talk to a company, that's the best thing. If you're representing your brand, or if you're the service professional, short of that, especially now, right? Who's doing that? Like, not a lot of people are traveling for sales. Video is your absolute ally, because you can get in front of hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands or more, and have people feel like they know you, because that's why we go to see movies, right? Or what we're watching on Netflix, whatever. When you have that feeling of being in a story, right? You get really wrapped up into whatever, show you're watching, and you feel like those people. Like, I feel like I know Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. Like, I know her,
Exactly. Yeah.
Or whoever your favorite character is. So yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. And it's nice that people are even more familiar with video now. Like, I think they see the play button, they're like, okay, this is a video, and I'm going to click on that. And the platform and where it's at plays a big role in all of that. Like you mentioned, on social media, 5 seconds. But if someone knows that they're getting ready to listen to a podcast, or it's something that's going to be in the background, I would hope that people are listening to this whole episode all the way through, because it's really good information. But it's just like, kind of, I think people have to get like in the mindset, like, hey, I'm doing this big car trip, I'm okay having this podcast or this like video playing in the background. Whereas if they're just in between breaks, they're just like, hey, I'm just trying to get that quick escapism or learn a thing or two.
I agree. I think that's exactly the distinction I would make. Yeah. So there's one thing, to be on your phone and scrolling, like thumb scrolling, that's one thing. And that's where people's attention spans are so short. But like a podcast, if you're driving, and, people are driving more, right? They're getting back in their cars, or whatever. If you're like doing the dishes, like, and you want that thing in the background, then you're going to, I'll listen to episode after episode if it's really good. And the other use case, I think, is if you have a very dedicated audience, then they're going to be a captive audience. So somebody might watch like the whole 45 minutes or hour of this video if they're really super interested in like, marketing and video and like what's going on with video in the economy right now. They might watch the whole thing. But otherwise, they might not want to watch. They might listen to it. So you're exactly right. It really depends on the platform and the listener and how engaged they are in the content, and with whoever is the presenter. I think that too.
Definitely. And so that's why, a lot of people will ask me like, hey, what video should I make? And then you have to kind of ask yourself, well, it depends. Like, what part in the customer's journey are they at when they're watching the video? And like, what page of your website is it on? It's like, all of those are factors that, hiring a professional, that's when they can give you that expertise.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. People sometimes, going back to that, they think they know what they need and what they want in terms of video. And sometimes through the conversation, the discovery call, or whatever you want to call it, it actually might come to light. Actually, what you need is this kind of video, or you can combine, like a brand video can also be used to recruit people, because you're talking about culture. So, if you're wanting to recruit a lot of talented people, and it's been difficult to do that, like they already have a job, the people that you want, I'm thinking of like specific kind of industries where they like trades, for example, like electricians, right? A lot of companies have been having a hard time finding qualified electricians. So they kind of want to poach them from another company. But the reason that they're going to come over is could be money, but it's really about culture. Maybe they just hate the culture of their current company. So you can kill two birds with one stone. And sometimes video is not the answer. I mean, I know that's counterintuitive for me to say, but I think you and I are similar in that hopefully we have a lot of integrity around that. But there are times when I've told people, I don't think that you're really ready. Like, I think, you maybe get certain things in place first, but it's a big commitment of, it's a big investment, it's a big commitment of time and energy. Like, you need to have your business sort of set up at a certain point, but it's important to build that trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it is counterintuitive, but you want to do what's best for the client, and you want to make sure that they have a good experience. And they may not have a good experience if they don't have a website already built, or they don't already have like some of their branding dialed in, or they don't even know the real messaging, or they don't know like the key aspects about their service or their product, or why their customer even enjoys it. So having that, I'm happy to help clients to a degree through some of that. But if you're really green, you're just starting out, and you think that, hey, I have this product, and the first thing I want to do is make a video because I think this video is going to help me sell like 10,000 versions of this product.
Right.
You kind of need the other systems in place of where you're going to sell the product. Like, is there, like Amazon has dialed all of that in. You go to the Amazon website, and right away, they kind of start getting you through that process to buying the product. And you will see videos, like review videos of like, hey, this is how, unboxing videos of the product.
Yeah. And you can absolutely do a Kickstarter video, for example, right? To help you raise the funds to finish the product. But you first have to have an idea of like, what is the product? And I mean, it's amazing to me. Sometimes people don't know yet, like what exactly it is. And so how are you going to message that if you're, you don't have to have it completely built, but you kind of have to know what you're going for and what you're trying to sell in the video. And if you don't, then you're not ready for the video. And exactly, you can have the conversation, you can help them along the way. And I do think you can build a brand as you go. And, sometimes it's a really good way to curate, what is my brand? Like, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you talk about, I'll talk to a client about, well, we really want to match your brand with the video. What is your brand? And they're like, I don't actually know. So it can be a process to help them identify. They might have one, but they just have not gone through the process of really articulating it. So it can be very valuable from that standpoint, but there's only so much you can kind of do. At some point, like, they have to have the foundation, I think, in place.
Exactly. Yeah. And so something I think that you guys are doing, which is a great job of meeting some of these customers, some of these clients where they're at, is you guys are putting together the course. I'll let you say the title.
Yeah. It's how to get over yourself finally and start making videos. And so it's really designed. I was trying to think of, I would just see all these people on social media who are just like panicking because their complete business model like went kaput, right? I mean, people in hospitality, in the restaurant business, I mean, so many other, some service professionals as well. And I was just trying to think of, how can I still serve them? And how can they pivot? And a lot of it was about, okay, I need to get online. And if you need to pivot or create a business online today, and a lot of people are in the same boat, you need to be making videos because we all know it converts the best, right? I mean, the statistics are off the hook and growing. It's not like it's retreating. I mean, video and social media, video online is like the number one asset.
For attention, to get people to like start sitting there, watch, and start getting familiar with your brand.
Yeah. For brand awareness, to create those leads, to get them, capture them in your net, and to convert them to sales. Like, you kind of need video every step of the way. And that's proven according to research. So I started I thought, well, there are a lot of people out there who maybe they've made a video or two on their phone, or maybe they've, done an Instagram story or whatever, but that's kind of the extent of it. And then some people, like just yesterday, honestly, I was at the hair salon, and I was getting my hair cut, and my stylist needed to make a video, and I'm not going to name who she is or the salon because I don't want to embarrass her in case she listens to this, but but she had to make a testimonial video for a friend of hers who did something like, really nice for her. And she just asked for a testimonial video, and she was completely phobic. And, after I kind of told her what I do and like about this course, I offered, I was like, I can help you. I can help you right now. So after she's done with my hair, I just, held up her phone and kind of coached her through it. And, like she had said that she had been trying, like I think the day before, but she spent like an hour and a half trying to get through this. But it absolutely triggered something from her past about like public speaking and something about speaking on camera. So selfies are fine, right? Like talking one-on-one or like informally is fine. Something about speaking and being on camera really triggered her. And I come across this all the time. So you think that we're all over it by this point, but it's absolutely not the case. And so I still coach clients one-on-one through this. So I helped her, and so we watched the video after, and she just got really quiet. And then she burst into tears. And she just said, this is so much better than what I did. And, like she couldn't even speak, but she was just like, thank you. And I think it was like a really powerful moment for her. So it was just so validating that that's what this course is about. It's whatever those fears are, whether it's like talking on camera, whether it's, like seeing yourself on camera. A lot of older people and women in particular have a hard time, because they have to kind of see like themselves in the video, or whether it's the technology, like, I don't know about you, but a lot of people just don't know if it's good enough. Like they say, oh, I have a video, but we did a few years ago and I just don't know if it's good enough now. Or I try to make a video on my phone. I'm just not sure if it's good enough. So a lot of it is just having somebody there to look at it and give recommendations and say, it's okay, but you could work on this. Or no, that's absolutely, you're good to go. Like just, upload it. And some people have never done it and they just need step-by-step kind of instructions. So this is really for all of those people. And it's 7 modules, but it's really like 4 things. So one thing is about identifying what your demons are. What are those fears? And then helping you to tame them. Because I actually have a life coaching background and I also have an acting background. So it's sort of like taking all my like unique kind of skill sets to help people to make videos. So it's there's that. There's helping them like build their little studio. So have an equipment list and, what kind of lighting, do I need a microphone? Do I need a tripod? All that kind of stuff, building their own studio. So they have a place to shoot in their home or their office. And then I go through I'm going to go through 4 kind of main types of videos that you can and should be making in your business. And then lastly, like kind of mindset. Like, how do you finally like rip the Band-Aid off and make the video and how do you watch it? That's really hard for people. So I know that's a mouthful, but I'm really excited about this because we're in the middle of shooting it right now. We're going to start marketing it very soon.
No, I think that was great. You gave a great overview, and I didn't want to interrupt you because you were doing such a good job explaining it. Definitely. Maybe you could explain. I know some people kind of need to know like who exactly. They're like, oh, that sounds great, but that's not me. But maybe you can explain like who is this geared towards? Like sales professionals, teachers, podcasters, TED Talk speakers.
Yes, good question. Okay, so it is definitely geared towards people who already are business owners, entrepreneurs, and they are hurting. So they need to get online in a hurry. They need to make videos in order to, either they have a new business or they've pivoted in their business. And so they need to get the word out. So that's number 1. So number 2 is also, people who are maybe the marketing coordinator or marketing director or manager in their company, and their company is like, okay, like we are, our profits are way down, our revenue's down. So you need to start making a bunch of videos. So, but maybe that person doesn't know that much about making videos and maybe all they have is their phone. So how are they going to do that? And come up, because I'm also going into a whole strategy, like a video marketing strategy. It's not just about making the video. So there's that person. There's also, the individual, maybe service professional. It could be teacher. It could be, even like the CEO of a company who knows that he or she needs to be making, videos to communicate with your team. And maybe it has to be remote. It could be the salesperson who now everything is like on video and they just are phobic about making a presentation. It's really interesting because I deal a lot with people with phobias, because I do so much like kind of coaching. And like, you can have a person who has delivered a TED talk, or, they're a great public speaker, but you put them right in front of a camera and they completely shut down. Or you can have somebody who can, give a live presentation with a slideshow, and they're incredible. They can close like 80% of the room, and they have to do their slideshow over Zoom, and they just fold, like they just choke. For some people, it's like literally, I coach somebody like this, holding a piece of paper in their hand and reading off it was the trigger. And so all I did was say, well, just get the paper out of your hand and just like memorize it. And then she was fine. And so it's just these little things that like, you never know what it is. But I love that. Like that, to me, it's sort of like a puzzle, but like a really important puzzle. Like, what is it that's holding you back? How do we identify it? And then how do I help you to overcome it? And it's usually, it's all in our heads, right? But it's usually once you have somebody working with you, it's much more manageable than you think. It's really the anticipation and the fear of, I'm really afraid of my own reaction. That's the hardest. But once you realize you can deal with that, you can work on that. It's actually the actual process then of making the video and watching it after and uploading it is not that bad.
Definitely. Yeah, I think, we're all our own worst critic, and we hate how we look and how we sound. And I've been there as well with when you have, if you have any notes or something there, people are just going to they're going to want to look over at the notes and use those, and they don't just trust themselves to be who they are in front of a camera. And
right.
Which makes sense. I mean, this is, I've been around cameras. We've been around cameras for many, many years, but for someone that's never done it, it's very different than having that one-on-one conversation or speaking to an audience, getting used to like, where do I even look when I'm doing this video? You want to look like into the lens. That way people know that you're making kind of eye contact with them, and all those little facts that we've learned over time that you only gain through experience, having to go through these trials and tribulations on your own, or you bring on someone that's already experienced that, the many times of the equipment not working, or being fearful on the camera. Sometimes just having that coaching, that validation, like, hey, you're doing great, keep up the good work, rather than starting something, beating yourself up, and then just not even finishing the presentation at all.
Right. It can be quite intimidating. And so to have somebody like a partner, and I can tell that you're the same way. I mean, a lot of people who are behind the camera are not necessarily great at that kind of the soft skills of, like coaching and guiding and sometimes hand-holding the person who's going to be in front of the camera. And but I love that part. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people have like cried, and not that I'm making them cry, but because it's just, they're finally confronting and overcoming a fear that they've had for a long time. It's just a release sometimes of like all this like pent up kind of tension, and usually they're relieved that they don't look as bad as they thought. They don't sound as bad. Their messaging is better than they thought it would be. And I tell people, you don't have to like the process. You don't have to like or love the way you look. But if you're working with me or somebody like you, we are going to get you to the point of putting that video out there, because that's why you're coming to me. And so that's my promise to you, is I'm going to get you there. But nobody is saying anywhere along the way at any point that you have to like it. And it's amazing to me how many people, they just relax. Like, I think they think that we're going to drill this into them. Like, you don't have to change who you are. You don't have to change your whole like worldview. It's just really about self-acceptance and giving yourself permission to go through the process of being uncomfortable. and that's what it is. It's really discomfort. Sometimes it's extreme, but at the end of the day, no one's going to die, you know? And,
Exactly. Yeah.
and most of the time they say, that wasn't so bad. And if it's really good, then they say, that was actually kind of fun. And that's what I
Yeah.
love. I love it when they say that.
Well, I think that's what's exciting and unique about our field is like getting outside your comfort zone is usually where the good stuff happens in life anyway. If you get through your
Yeah.
comfort zone, you come out on the other side more confident, probably more excited, and yeah, they're maybe looking forward to the next video experience. And I think probably a little bit of that is just going in the unknown. They're like, what's going to happen? They probably think worst case scenario with everything. And that's really not how it is when you
That's
bring on a
such a good
professional,
point. That's such a good point, Brian. It is. It's the uncertainty, and it's like not knowing what you don't know. And, usually people have had some taste of it and they really were uncomfortable. And so they just think it's going to be that times, 10 or times 100 or 1,000. If it's going to be like something's going to be out there, and, and we all, we're all told and we all know it's out there forever. Like once you blast it out there, you can't really get it back. And that also, scares people. And especially now, because think of how much uncertainty we're all still living with, right? And every time like I said, every time we think, oh, I've got a handle on this, something new comes out of left field and like smacks us upside the head. And so to have that additional pressure, you might not feel at your best. Maybe you've gained the COVID-19. You might be thrust into a new role or a new business and like not sleeping or just dealing with like, depression or anxiety. And so it's even more challenging, I think, because it's one more layer. But like, I think that's why this course is so important. I think it's going to help a lot of people to really have. So the way it's going to work is it's 7 modules, and it's going to be, like it's all videos. And with every video, there's going to be a worksheet. So there's 3 to 5 videos per module. And then, so they're all uploaded, right, to a site. And then, so people will go and be able to like go through one module per week. And then I'll have 2 coaching calls per month where they can like jump on and, get any questions from me.
Get to hang out with you.
They get to hang out with me. It's sort of like office hours, right?
Yeah.
But it's also, I'm going to put it on this, through this platform called Experientify, which I think is really going to make this different. It's going to make it a game changer because it's gamified. So every time you watch a video, like you get like gold stars and like ka-ching and like little messages along the way. And like, oh, great. You did the worksheet for module 1, training 1, like, keep going, Brian. And that really helps people. Like usually for online courses, the completion rate is something like less than 10%, which if you think about it, like how many people are throwing their money away. But, when you're gamifying it like this, I mean, we get those little dopamine hits, right? That's why we're all addicted to our phones. The completion rate is something like, 65, 75%. So they are statistically a lot more likely to complete it, and therefore a lot more likely to actually make those videos.
That's awesome. That's very generous of you. It sounds like, people are getting a whole great value overall. And I'm sure people are excited. They're like, hey, where can I find out more about this? And I think you mentioned you're still building out the modules of the process, but people can reach out to you directly.
Yes. Yeah. So we're just starting the kind of the marketing piece right now. I'm still like constructing the course, and I'm hoping to have this launched early November. So if anybody's interested, they can just reach out to me, just email info@treeswingvideo.com, and I'd be happy to give you more information, and I can sort of pre-sign you up. We're going to, I have a webinar. It's going to be an evergreen webinar, and we're doing ads for it. But it'll be like an evergreen course. So you can jump in at any time. You can jump into the coaching calls at any time. And I think we're going to build a community of people. I'll have a Facebook group. So I think it's going to be really fun. I'm so excited about it. A little nervous, like anything new that you do. But
I think it'll be exciting. You're putting kind of like all your knowledge and expertise. And that, like you mentioned, there's only one Jeany Park. You're able to pull all of these different experiences that you have. And I think you're doing a good job of meeting the audience where they're at. How do you get them to to completion. It's like through gamification. And I just wanted to make a note. So for anyone that's listening, check out the show notes I have in there. You can directly contact Jeany and RSVP for the training course, and and stay in contact with her. Jeany, is there anything else that we should let the audience know? Like what's the first video step to take, or
I think the important thing to keep in mind is everyone wants to wait until everything's perfect because it's video, because it's going to be there forever. It's such an important kind of asset, but that's really a little counterproductive. Done is better than perfect. So give yourself permission to just try and experiment. You want to get some of those pieces kind of lined up, but ultimately it's not rocket science. And it's really mostly, it's an inside job. And that's what this course is really going to help you get to. So, and I want to thank you, Brian, so much for having me on the show. And I'm really excited for you. I think you're incredible. You do great work. And I'm really excited to see how your business really takes off. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all part of the learning process. And I shifted gears, worked maybe a little bit more on marketing. And Jeany, I want to just say a big thank you to you too for coming onto the show. I think this has been awesome. Here at 9 a.m. on a Monday, and you had a whole bunch of energy and brought a lot of great thoughts for the audience.
2 cups of coffee, man.
There we go. Hey, we're in the Northwest. Everyone runs off coffee. So
that's right. Thanks again, Brian.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, until next time, everyone check out the show notes. Jeany, it's been a pleasure. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to VidMark, a place for all your video marketing needs. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and tune in every Thursday morning on either iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and more. For a behind-the-scenes look and some bonus tips, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next time, good luck with your video marketing efforts. And remember, always hit the mark. A cactus knows how to survive. It can endure scorching heat, limited rainfall, and defends itself against critters daily. Your business is no different. To survive harsh conditions, it's important to develop deep roots using media content that'll continuously nourish and support your marketing efforts day after day. Tactus Media is here to help you determine a strategy and create media content. Together, let's map out the next sequence of videos, podcasts, and social media to help your business thrive. Work with Tactus Media, media tactics that stick. Ouch! Visit tactusmedia.com to learn more.